Well, welcome to the Oakdale City Hall and Police Facility. This complex was the original complex built back well over 30 years ago. What you're about to find is, as we walk through the police department, is really the consequence of growth. What started out as being a very good facility now has gotten too small. So the consequence of the city's growth has caused severe shortages of space as we've brought on officers, both men and women. What used to be a male-dominated field now is very well populated with female officers. However, our facility doesn't provide for that. So you also see that the places where storage for our police officer cars, both the squads and their personal vehicles, all are very, very in short supply. So thank you everybody for coming. My name is Paul Reinke. I'm the mayor of Oakdale and have served in this role for 6 years, and then 12 years before that was as a counselor. So again, thank you for coming. It's Saturday morning, 9 o'clock. Beautiful out, but you're going to have a chance to walk through City Hall, which is where the police department offices and facilities are. The purpose of this is to give information about the local area sales tax, which the council has received permission from, or authority from the legislature to ask the voters to increase the sales taxes to pay for these facilities. There's two facilities that we're talking about. One is the Public Works building. This is the police facility expansion renovation. It's a half-cent sales tax. So what that means is really 50 cents on a $100 purchase.
That's
the beauty of what we're talking about here is that what you're going to see is, first off, they're not optional. You know, there's needs here. So the ability to use this local area sales tax to pay for the construction costs is really a good thing to do. And roughly half the people in the area are non-residents. So 50% of both projects can be paid for by this local area sales tax, which is half the people that are non-residents. Enough of me talking. Chief Newton, our police chief, I think you're going to take it from here.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Well, thank you guys for coming in on this Saturday morning. What we'll do is just give you a little tour of the police department. We'll stop in a few spots and try to explain some of the challenges that we have in this facility. And just to start, when this was built in 91, 92, there was 19 police officers that worked here and about 25 staff total that worked out of this building. Currently, we have 35 licensed staff with a total of 43 employees. So with that said, there's some challenges for us with the growth. And Oakdale's also changed in the sense of, our back lot of our parking lot goes into the park, and we had far less vehicles back in 91, 92 than we do now. So, I think we have about 8 parking spots set for the police department. Then the rest of the parking is in the public parking space, which most often, like today, it's fine. But we have softball tournaments and a lot of activities going on in the park. It can be challenging for parking our squad cars too. So, with that said, we'll just start our way through the main level. Then we'll work our way upstairs, and then we'll come out upstairs and back down the stairs to end. And if you have questions, feel free to ask them, please. So this is our lobby, and before we even get in this small area, just say this is where the public come. It's open 8 to 4:30, and one of the biggest challenges we have for us with this little lobby here is, there's a lot of people that will come in to the police department rather than call 911. And when folks show up to make a police report, this lobby here, there's not much space for privacy. Some people come in to report some things that are really sensitive. They're sharing maybe their date of birth, their address, and maybe sharing sensitive information that they don't want other people to hear about. So it makes it really challenging when you're in here and you have 2 or 3 people waiting here to get reports or talk to an officer. Then meanwhile, someone wants to report a domestic assault or someone wants to report some kind of child abuse or sexual abuse. Makes it very, very challenging for our officers. I mean, there's been times, for example, where there's people in here and you hear about what the report is, and you have to take them outside to find somewhere that you have a little bit of privacy to get information. And of course, during the times that's not open to the public, we have it's all key card access controlled for locking, so I'll unlock this. And you can all come in and follow me. So this is our public lobby. A lot of folks will come in to get reports and other things at the front window here. Sometimes people will call for an officer. An officer will come out here to meet the public, like I was saying before. This is the only interview room that we have for our patrol staff. So if someone does come in and they need to get a recorded interview from them, they'll go in here. And again, with this door even shut, and there's people out here, and there's noise, there's traffic, it makes it very distracting. So one of the things that we'd really like to have for our staff is the ability to have 3 or 4 interview rooms off the lobby with a little bit more sound barrier, soundproof for privacy as well. And make it nice for our public that come in, that they can have that confidence that their personal information isn't gonna be heard in earshot of other people. Then I'll bring you guys through to the entrance here to the police department.
And Chief, this is only open 8 to 4:30?
Yes.
And then, okay.
Yep, 8 to 4:30. And
And when you get the new building, is this going to be more open longer?
yes. So, or no, they'll still be the same times. But what we hope to do is, one of the things we talked about during the planning phase was creating a situation where there's like a vestibule. Because currently when people come after hours and we don't have staff sitting here all day just waiting for people to come in. So if it's after 4:30 p.m. and we have no staff here and the building's closed, people either need to call 911 on their cell phone, or there's a box out there. And that box, when you press it, that goes to Stillwater, to Washington County Communication Center, who will then dispatch an officer to come back here and speak. So in the meantime, if you don't have a vehicle, if it's inclement weather or it's cold, you're standing outside waiting. So one of the things we talked about would be have the ability to have a vestibule where someone can come in, stay warm, make that contact with our dispatch to have an officer come back. And then when the officer comes, they can obviously come through and get them to an interview room and somewhere where they can talk. So what I'll do from here is just to talk about our records office, kind of bring you through the administrative side, investigation side, and back out to this hallway. But from here, this is where our records office works out of. So we have 4 staff that work out of this area, and they do a lot of things behind the scenes that are very crucial to operating a police department. They do all our records management. They process gun permits. They do data release reports of folks that come in that want police reports. So they do a lot of things behind the scenes. And one of the you can see one of the challenges is we're still in the process of transitioning from paper. Up until 2018, we were doing everything paper records, and that 2018 years when we tried to make that transition. So our record staff are still operating off paper files for some things, and other things are still operating off the computers. So for this one of the challenges too is if you look at the workspaces, this has been remodeled in the sense of trying to create a situation where the staff can see people that come up to the public, and you can see like some of them are kind of stuffed back in the corner and trying to see if public are coming in. So just one of the challenges that they face. And then I won't even bring you guys all the way down here just because it's just 3 offices. So Captain Goodwin and myself, our offices are right down this hallway. So I'll bring you guys here and just kind of walk through this our investigators area. This is where our investigators work out of. So we have 6 staff that work out of here. When I first started here, there was 3 staff that kind of worked out of this area. Then it grew to 6, and we make it work. But one of the challenges is for our investigators is, they deal with very serious crimes, very sensitive information, and they kind of all just share this common space here. So, you may have someone on a phone call that's very serious that they need to record, that may deal with some kind of sexual abuse or a very sensitive case. And then you have two detectives over here not knowing that this person's on a phone call, and they start talking about their fishing trip last week and start laughing, and you know, it's a challenge for that investigator, because sometimes they have to stop the phone call or put it on mute and tell them, hey, can you guys be quiet? I'm on a phone call, or else they'll leave. So that's one of the bigger challenges for our investigators back here. And of course, space. With the advent in technology, it's become an expectation of the courts that you have digital evidence, that you have warrants of people's mobile devices, cell phones, video surveillance. And of course, when this department was built, it wasn't set up for that in mind. You know, it's a lot of departments that have been established for a while have that same challenge. So it's kind of hard for you all to get back here, but you can see like our server where we keep our data storage is just shoved back in this closet back here. And you can come back here and swing by and take a look as you go. So we use MetroINet. It's a kind of a consortium with it's based out of the city of Roseville. So there a number of cities in the East Metro use. Any questions about this area?
So many people are normally working in this area during a shift.
So for our detectives, we have a total of 6 working out of this area.
Okay.
And their hours typically are daytime, but of course, depending on the needs of the community, sometimes they'll have some people working the evening hours too.
You only see 4 spots though, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, so we get 1, 2, 3, 4, an office, 5, and that little spot back there would be the 6th spot.
You can hear me way down there?
Yeah.
So it's a little cramped.
Yes.
Yeah, little cramped, and of course we would love the opportunity to have actual offices where people, when they're working, can actually shut the door and have privacy for some of the things they're doing.
Yeah.
And as you guys pass through here, this is where our detectives will interview. This is our only interview we have for detectives in this little space here. And one of the challenges with this is, you know, this is not secure, none of this. So there's no even lock on this door. So if they are interviewing a suspect or something, you always have to have a person here monitoring just to make sure that person doesn't leave. But also, I mean, one of the more important things is like when you have a serious crime, and it, you know, like I'd say a child sexual abuse case, you want to have a room that's very soft and welcoming and conducive. And this room is a challenge on that because one of the size and you know, it's a pretty cold room when you're having those real difficult conversations. So this room does have the ability, though, to record all the interviews. There's a switch for them to turn on that can be recorded. So in here, this is our main operations out of here. We have 27 people that work essentially out of this area, this room, the report writing room, the sergeant's office. And this kind of is a multi-purpose room. This is where they do roll call, briefing, and have patrol meetings. This is also where they will eat their lunch. This is where, you know, anyone that's on break will be here. And then for here, this is for all the officers and our CSOs. They have four computers among 23 of them. So 23 of them share these 4 computers, which obviously, like a day like today, we don't have a lot of staff working, so it works. But you know, typically for our patrol schedule, we have between 2 and 10 people working at one time. So if we have 8 people working, only half of them will have access to computers. And while they have the ability to do some of their reports in their car, if it's more of a exhaustive report, they have to type something that's going to go to an attorney for review. They're going to be doing that in here. So there's just times where officers will not get those reports done just because there's no space for it. So one of the things we look for in a new facility would to have more workspaces so we don't run into those problems, and also having a spot where officers have the ability to make phone calls without interruption. Like I said, if people are out here having break and there's someone on an important phone call, you know, that'd provide an opportunity for them to have some privacy. Then back in this location, this is where our four patrol sergeants work out of, which this is fairly adequate space. It's a little cramped, but at some point, if we want to add staff, which right now we only have 4 patrol sergeants, and we don't have 24-hour supervisor coverage. At some point in the future, perhaps in the next 10 years, we would want to add more supervisors and more staff, and we couldn't make that work out of this size office. Anyone have any questions for kind of where our patrol operations work out of?
You really don't have any board space. I look around and every writable surface has got paper stuck to it for something.
Yeah, we actually took down a lot. Because
For the tour. Yes, company was coming.
yeah, just for data privacy stuff, we have, so this is where we have like our board of pictures of folks that we're looking for that maybe wanted, have warrants, and this all goes up on these boards. So of course, when we do any kind of public tour, we have to take those things down.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and it seems like your desk stations aren't very ergonomical, just because they all share them, and you might have a tall person, short person. Someone might be a left mouser versus a right mouser, and you can't do all those big reports in your car because you're gonna cramp shoulders, neck, whatever. It's not very healthy for them.
Yeah, for the very simple calls where they just got to document what they did, patrol car works fine. But anything beyond that, where they have to sit down and they have to type, because you're literally like trying to do this in your car. So this is where they'd go to type. But yeah, you're right, there is. But we do have one standing desk, which we modified. But you're welcome to come back here and take a look if you like.
Must be all tall people. Because normally your keyboard is your elbow is supposed to be right angled.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're gonna have carpal tunnel with your wrist.
Yes, and it's, so funny true story. When I got promoted to sergeant in 2006, I was told, hey, don't get too comfortable because we're getting all new desks and we're gonna do it. And so here we are. It's still all the same.
So this is your personal locker space, if you will?
Oh, it's a mailbox where people put where we get internal memos and things like that. Have you guys walk down this way here? We'll, go in here.
Very well. Memory.
Yeah, so this area is a little disjointed here. So many years ago, when this building was built, we had a holding cell. So this area now that's now storage was a holding cell, and of course the bathroom for them, which you could tell it's all nailed down, like into the floor. There's nothing that can be taken off. It's kind of the standard with when you go into a facility where people are held, and and then in this room, this is where they used to process like impaired drivers, DWIs, things like that. They would bring them back here. There'd be a testing station, and this person would go in the holding cell, and then we'd call someone to come pick them up. A lot of Department of Correction changes in code make it so we can't do that anymore. And we don't have the resources to have this staffed and manned all times, because you have to have at least 2 people here. And there are times when we only have 2 people working. So it just wasn't feasible for us to do that. So we do all of our arrests and processing of impaired drivers. That's all done at Washington County Sheriff's Office. They have the staffing, the amenities, and everything that we would need for that. So when that changed, we made this into overflow storage. We made this into a kitchen, so there's a microwave, a fridge, stove in there, and so that there's no dedicated break room, and all 43 of our employees use this space for their where they store their lunches, where they heat their food. So they have one microwave, which is challenging sometimes when there's 12, 15 people working and they're sharing one microwave, but we make it work. Any questions for this space?
How long is the drive from here to Washington County?
It's roughly about 15 minutes.
So in the old days, you used to bring drunks in here and everything, and till you got them over to Washington County, is that correct?
Yeah, so I've been here just about 22 years, and when I started here, this was not used for processing impaired drivers. However, we did use this for holding juveniles. Say we'd have someone at curfew violations, things like that. We would sometimes bring kids back here and hold them here. We'd have a chair here. We call the parents to have come get them, and then I think about 2007, 2008, we stopped doing that because that was another. The state said, yeah, you guys, you can't do that. So now, if we need to hold the juvenile for an extended period of time, they go to Washington County Sheriff's Office, where they have a juvenile detention center, or we just sit in the lobby with juveniles until the parents come. This is one of our garage bays. We use this for storage. Kind of the cabinets behind you is where the officers keep their firearms. Then the garage bay here, this is we kind of just use for storing for example, this is our camera system, our mobile camera system. Sometimes we'll have our speed trailer here, and just kind of use this as overflow storage. But back in this room here, this is our evidence room. So when officers collect evidence, they bring it back in here, and then there's lockers back in here, and we can kind of funnel in here, and I can explain this to you. So one of the biggest challenges for our evidence technician is when property comes in, officers will put it in these lockers, and sometimes there's bigger items, which we don't have an area to store that, so they just kind of get stored here and labeled, and then it needs to get moved. So the challenge for our evidence tech is, if you look, there's a step there. So she has a cart of property. She can't, we tried using a ramp. Sometimes it's too heavy to get it up. So she's got to leave a cart out there. And she has to take all the evidence, put it on a cart. Yeah, so this garage bay here, again, we use it for a number of different things, primarily storage. As you can see, with adding staff over time and all the equipment they have to carry, there's not enough room upstairs in the lockers to store this stuff, so we had to create these lockers in the garage here for them to be able to store items. And also, when we tow a vehicle, say a vehicle is involved in a serious crime, and we need to have our detectives do a warrant on it, this is our only location that we have to do that. So when that thing comes in here and they got a process and they have fingerprint powder or anything else that's going all over their stuff here, because that stuff, of course, it doesn't just stay set, it kind of goes up into the air, creates a mess. Then also the challenge is that's in our custody, and we need to have that secure even from officers. So that door needs to be locked, and if your stuff's in here and there's a car in here that's being processed, that makes it a challenge, because you got to find out hey, I need someone to come here so I can go get my stuff. So it just makes it a challenge. And then, of course, with the outdoor parking, we have our outdoor parking out here. And one of the things we'd like to do with the new facility is have one more efficiency for gear storage, have it in a garage, and also have a separate area for when we're having a garage and there's a car that comes in that would have to be processed. We'd have the ability to take a fence and secure that around that car, and have a spot dedicated in the garage where that stuff could be processed and done without interfering with everyone else's pieces of work that they're doing. Any questions for in here?
They're just storing stuff here. They're not actually getting dressed.
No, so this is just the overflow of, they have winter jackets, spring jackets, duty bags.
It's going to be chilly in January, February when that door opens.
Yep.
And the wind,
You
and the
you
snow.
hope, you hope the heater works good.
Heater works.
Does it? You got something for animals there, or is that just, what's that? What's that
Yeah.
cage about?
Yeah, so we have a kennel in here. So the times that we do recover a dog, if you're trying to figure out who the owner is, that dog may temporarily go in that kennel, so we can try to figure out who owns the dog, and they come to the police department, pick it up, and if not, after a very temporary time, they end up getting transported to a shelter. But yes, if we have 2 dogs, then it's a challenge, but we just bring them directly to the animal shelter. So just a couple of things to point out here. And you guys can come in here too if you need more space. As when you guys came this way down the hallway, you see there's a monitor there that kind of shows what's out in the parking lot. One of the interesting things that has happened over the last several years is, there's a mental health crisis in our communities, and we had a lot of folks that would just show up at the back of the police department and they'd be standing outside this door. We had an incident not too long ago where there's a guy standing between our squad cars with a big stick, like he had a gun, and he was trying to engage one of our officers walking out the back door, try to get him to confront with his firearm. So we say after having several incidents like that happen right outside our back door here, we decided to put this monitor up so when staff are walking down the hallway before they exit outside, they can take a look and see if there's anybody standing out there that's going to confront them. So again, having that parking garage would eliminate that, where they could park inside and they could just get in their cars and go out, versus coming out here and then we've had several run-ins that are just something that we didn't encounter in the past, but it's kind of been happening over the last few years. Under the stairs here, this is our medical storage supply that we didn't have really any other space to do it, so this is built. This is where the officers' medical supplies, the medical bags they carry in their squad cars, because they have AEDs. They can't just sit outside in the cold, so they have to bring that in and then store it here during, of course, the hot time and the cold times of the year. So the upstairs, the police department here, if you go straight through where you guys will exit after the walkthrough here, that goes back into the city hall. So up here what we have is, on this side we have the men's and women's locker room. We have a couple storage areas for overflow storage, and then our evidence and property technician has her office in the area where we keep our primary evidence, things of value, things that we want regulated the best we can, are stored upstairs here. And also, this is where officers keep some of their technology, such as their radios, tasers, and other equipment they carry. And also back here is our only meeting space we have in the police department. So it's kind of a mess back here, but be careful not to trip. We'll kind of walk through here.
Small meeting area here. So congested.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. And then here, this is our only room to meet. So anytime we have a meeting, or we have other departments in for meetings, this is our only space that we have, which, it can work, but if you have get more than 10 people for a meeting, it's congested and don't have enough space. And this is also where we have new hire interviews. We'll use this room to interview. We'll also sometimes use the city hall side if there's a open space and offices back there. But and then behind here, this is where we keep sensitive cases. So this is just a closet, and you're welcome to look in there. Just I wouldn't walk through there. It's kind of it'd be challenging to get through there. But that's where we keep like cold cases. This is where we keep some of the homicide cases that we've had over the years. They're all stored inside this closet here.
Through that door.
Yeah, there's 2 doors there. You can kind of take a peek.
Oh my. It's just like small. I got it there. You get some protected from water damage.
Yeah.
There to be any, but others are.
Yeah, anyone want? I just did that about
Look at that
3 months
vent
ago.
right there. That vent tells you that there's not very good air. She, 3 months ago, you had what now?
I did those plastic bins to
Oh,
keep the most important ones from water.
Keep them dry.
Keep them dry at least, yeah. But
Good idea.
yeah,
we don't have a sprinkler here, but if you had to do something,
yeah.
you got a chance. Chance of something.
Sometimes roofs leak.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially flat ones.
So of course with the locker room, it's challenging. We had 28 lockers in here. We were able to add 2 more at the end, but still not enough. There's a couple of us that just change out of an office. Just there's not enough locker space, and make it work. But of course, if we're gonna grow as a department as well, we need more space. But some of the things that make it challenging is these are the original lockers. You can't really fit more than your uniform shirts, the ones like this, and maybe a pair of boots. And so it's a challenge. So of course, in the new facility, you'd be looking for some more locker space. Also, room for expansion. Should we add some more staff over the years, and also a little bit more conducive, such as having like a bench for them when they're tying their boots and things like that, so they can do those things. And also having more bathrooms, more toilets. So right now there's just that one toilet in there and one shower. So things we look forward to have our staff to have that ability.
So you got 8 or 10 boot dryers on a power strip that's plugged into one outlet. That don't seem very good.
Well,
I see everything right. I want it.
So how big is this building compared to what you want to ideally build?
So I think again, it's just there's nothing it's solid on that plan, but it's roughly 55,000 square feet for the new building. That includes the garage, and this one's I think roughly 16. So we'd be expanding quite a bit.
Yeah, I think the garage, chief, was like 22,000 rings a bell right now, just the garage space,
Yeah.
not the officing.
Yeah, not the offices. Yeah.
So just the comparison is it's not quadrupling in administrative space.
Okay, wow,
Yeah.
very much needed.
Yeah. So we have a total of 4 licensed and a total of 8 females that work out of the police department. At one point we had 11, and then that's where that's one of the challenges in law enforcement is the recruiting is difficult, and the last process we only had 1 female applicant. So it's a
Do you have any
challenge.
openings now?
No openings right now. We have a community service officer position that's open. So of course we do have enough locker space, even though it's small currently, but for future growth, and we hope to hire more, have the opportunity to hire more females, and we need more locker space. Yeah, this is really here just more storage. In this room here this is where I don't even have a key to, but this is where like our firearms armor. This is basically a closet that was retrofitted for them to, they got to work on firearms. And this space was made into our gun cleaning. Converted from this used to be kind of an evidence technician room, and now we just converted this into a firearms cleaning room. Of course, with lead and such that come off firearms, we have the hazardous waste bins that need to, anytime guns are cleaned, you need to get those bins cleared out. But not a lot of space in this room. It's cramped. You really can't have more than one person in there at a time cleaning a gun. Last room down here was retrofitted into a storage area for our SWAT members. And, so years ago, we weren't a member of the SWAT team or some other county teams. And so now that we are, of course, they have a lot of gear. So we tried to make this open space here the best use for storage. So this is where they keep a lot of their important equipment and gear that they would need for SWAT.
How's the egress here? If you gotta grab stuff, you gotta move out down that way, down the stairs before you can get outside, then you start after that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a challenge, but there's just really no other place in our department to put this stuff. And this was, when we used to have a community affairs office, this used to be the community affairs office.
So the bottom line really is the building is being used for stuff it really wasn't designed for.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So we got a combination, the way I've seen through this whole tour is there's a lot of regulations that have changed, requiring different things. We expect more modern approaches to the cases and issues, and this facility doesn't have that. I have that in my office at work. I work downtown. The building was built 20 years ago. Just even bringing in something basic like communications, everybody uses laptops now. That's created a huge challenge, just trying to make that work.
Sure.
And that's really simple compared to what I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
And then you also have needs of the community is changing and it's growing.
Yeah.
And so I see several.
And if you look around, this room doesn't have, but there's a lot of panels with leaks and stuff.
Evidence. The evidence is there for me, and I'm not even evidence.
Yeah. If you were to talk to our staff that work the street, they'd probably say their biggest complaint is the parking outside. One, for their personal cars. Like I said, I worked here almost 22 years. In this parking lot, I had my car keyed. I've had my gas tank siphoned, my personal car. I get that happens everywhere in our community. But, when you drive by at 12 or 1 in the morning, the only 4 cars that are in that lot work for the police department. So that's a challenge. And the 2, when it's inclement weather, I know our residents deal with it too, but it's a challenge when you come into work and you got a hot call and you got to go out there and try to scrape your window quick just to make a little window so you can start driving. That's another challenge.
So thank you for taking time to walk through this facility with us. I think you've seen that the space constraints, that the equity elements of our private facilities for our officers is in severe shortage, and that our ability for officers to do their job effectively, efficiently, and with a caring attitude towards our public is very, very difficult in this facility. So this local area sales tax, which is 0.5% of the sales tax, is going to really raise only 50 cents on every $100 of a purchase. And 50% of it is planned to be paid for by non-residents. So 50% of the funds used to pay for these facilities will be paid for by people outside of the city limits. These 2 facilities, the Public Works Building and also this police department, the needs for growth and expansion are not wants, they are needs. The option of being able to pay for it through the local area sales tax, local option sales tax, is just a wonderful way of taking care of business. Should it not be approved by the residents and by the voters, then City Council will have to figure out how to take care of the costs or how to pay for the costs in a different manner. I'm optimistic that it will pass. Thank you for your support.